Fox News alert. We are awaiting remarks from President Trump after his meeting with Senate Republicans earlier today at the White House as the clock ticks down to a partial government shutdown. Let's go to outnumbered overtime. I'm Melissa Francis in today for Harris Faulkner. The House passing a bill last night that delivers more than $5 billion for President Trump's long-promised border wall. Senate Majority Leader McConnell says he supports that bill, but Minority Leader Chuck Schumer vows that Democrats will vote against it. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts is live with the latest. John.
And the president has been in the Oval Office for more than 35 minutes now as he signs the prison reform bill. And the president has been talking about all of this. We don't yet have the recording of what happened in the Oval Office, but we should have it for you very shortly, Melissa. But what I can tell you is the president said that he had a, quote, great meeting with senators this morning, much the same way as he did with members of the GOP House caucus yesterday. He said we are going to be working very hard to get something passed in the Senate. Now it's up to the Democrats as to whether or not we have a shutdown tonight. But to hear the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer tell it, the ball really is in the president's court because Democrats are not going to give him what he wants. Listen here.
There are not the votes in the Senate for an expensive, taxpayer-funded border wall. So, President Trump, you will not get your wall. Abandon your shutdown strategy. You're not getting the wall today, next week, or on January 3rd.
So at the moment, it looks like we are lurching toward a shutdown at midnight tonight, and the president kind of flipping a 180 here and trying to blame the Democrats for the shutdown should that happen. The president tweeting out earlier today, quote, "The Democrats now own the shutdown," to which Chuck Schumer was only too happy to remind the president about what he has said in the past. Listen here.
In our meeting in the Oval Office, President Trump said, quote, "If we don't get what we want, I, President Trump, will shut down the government
for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our country. So I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it.
I'm not going to blame you for it, except this morning he is now blaming the Democrats for it. Now, Melissa, it's unclear whether the Republicans had the votes to even bring this measure to the floor, let alone pass it. It's likely that they're not going to do the nuclear option. Chad Pergram, our terrific producer up on Capitol Hill, says they are not in the parliamentary posture to do that, which means they're going to need 60 votes, which means that this thing is going to die in the Senate. And then it's a test of wills as to whether the president insists that he's got to have the money or he lets the government shut down, or if there's some quick maneuver in the House that passes what the Senate has already passed. And the president says, I did everything I could and you avoid a shutdown. We're just going to have to wait and see. Melissa?
John, did anyone think it was going to get through the House last night?
The president did. He had that meeting with the 12 members of the GOP conference,
right.
And he came out of that meeting very confident that they were going to put some money in there for border wall funding. But the problem is he's got the votes in the House, and he had a reasonable buffer as well, so he can have a number of Republicans vote against
and Nancy
it. But
Pelosi said he didn't. So
yeah, well, now you know what. There just isn't the margin in the Senate, particularly when you already have two Republicans saying, Hatch and Alexander, saying that they're not going to vote for this measure. So that leaves you with 49 votes, and that doesn't pass a bill.